You gently levered yourself out of the water on your fins. The first thing you noticed was that you were suddenly very heavy. Without the water to support you, gravity pulled you down to the ground. The second thing you noticed as you hurried back into the water was that you couldn't breathe. That was a surprise. Fish breathe oxygen, and there's more oxygen in the air than there is in water. It should have been easy. The trouble was your gills, which were for breathing in water. They didn't work on land. Either you would have to carry a bucket of water around wherever you went so you could stick your head in it when you needed a breath of air, or you would have to evolve a completely new way of breathing. You looked around your body and you found something interesting, a swim bladder, which up to now you had kept filled with air to keep you afloat. Perfect. This could be tweaked to make a lung. An easy job. It took only a few million years. Also, you thickened your fins to give them the strength they needed to crawl and then walk out of the sea. Here on the earth, you were indeed in heaven. Insects were crawling and flying everywhere, as tasty as shellfish, but without the shells. You could get down to eating and eating with no danger of being eaten by the insects, and every danger of becoming very plump indeed. You changed your name to Tetrapod, because tetrapod means 4 legs, and that's what you had now. Guess what, Tetrapod? You were not the only one to have that great idea of leaving the sea. In no time, the land was crawling with other tetrapods. Some of these rivals were getting bigger, bigger even than their cousins in the sea, and much bigger than ordinary tetrapods like you. They were called dinosaurs. They grew taller and wider and faster until all the little tetrapods were scrabbling around between their toes, trying not to look like a snack. Oh yes, the giant land creatures were doing what the giant sea creatures did, eating small animals like you. You learned a clever trick to avoid the dinosaurs. Because they didn't like the cold, they couldn't get going in the morning until the sun had warmed them up for an hour or so. From mid-morning onwards, it was snack time, and they were looking around for tasty tetrapods. But you evolved to sleep during the day, the dangerous day, and be active only during the cold nights and early mornings, when dinosaurs were asleep or dozy. Your trick was to carry your own heat, using energy to warm yourself up in the cold evenings. You also evolved fur, so you kept the heat in. Everything was going your way at last. Then, catastrophe. It's very easy to take outer space for granted. You can wonder at the size of it from horizon to horizon. You can realize that the twinkling stars are actually vast balls of fire, next to which Earth is like a grain of sand. Yet they seem comfortably far away, so you feel you are safely far from disaster. But every now and then, the odd bit of space debris does come wandering this way. 66 million years ago, a block of rock twice the size of Mount Everest did just that. Drifting past Earth, it was caught by gravity and pulled faster and faster towards the planet. It crashed into the Gulf of Mexico at 50 times the speed of a bullet. It smashed through the Earth's crust as if it was a pie crust and flung it up in the air, up as far as the edge of space, exposing the molten rock beneath. As the ocean's waters flowed into the crater, it was instantly turned into steam, and another massive explosion rocked the planet. The cloud of dust and steam darkened the skies all around the Earth, hiding the sun and bringing the temperature down to freezing, and so it remained for years. Dinosaurs, who had been rulers of the planet for so long, died from the cold in their millions. It wasn't the end of all life on the planet, though. You were lucky. Because you had evolved ways to keep warm, you could turn disaster into opportunity. While you had been huddling in hiding from the dinosaurs, you had found a way to protect your children. Instead of laying eggs and risking them being found and eaten or perishing in the cold, you held your developing children inside your warm bodies and laid them when they were quite old, then looked after them for years after that. Tetrapods had a new name now. Your new name was Mammal. Are you nearly here yet? Species have separated far apart now. Plants are very different from fish, which have very little in common with insects, which have no similarity to lizards, which are quite unlike mammals, which couldn't be further from bacteria, and yet, they all contain with them echoes of each other, as you will find later when you look back on your journey. And in one particular way, you are all the same. You all, in every cell, in every living thing on the planet, have a molecule of DNA. And in one of those strands of DNA in one of your cells is a carbon atom which has been with you since you were born in a star.